Hello, America and world. As the species volume science, here, individual finite, grouped difference slash as. In species, difference. Note how we have the same color eyes, but while we have different color eyes at the same time. Note that has been left out also how the sciences have, where we know that the semi ancients had criminally foreign influence sciences. This and as what more probably revealed American history and demonstrably with what our founders communicated for us to communicate about for themselves. In our faces, hiding in plain sight from other locations. Everyone was backed into abridged identities of identities as systems tactical ulterior, from where and how names A through Z of difference, therefore of people, have were and are now a system only remembering being other than the one that is also unto itself only positive, even though its identity is relativity to positive and negative simultaneously. And this is where and how we could discern this. This is where and how the the five in the five or the six names for a verb, or a verb is only one of its names. Every identity has its complete identity. Where and how is discernible is how is the one hyper invisible but still discernible is inseparable from all identities. For example, the other species bodies have two eyes. Even the insects have quality aspects in nature about themselves. Next time a spider gets in your house, take the time, do it a few times, and you will learn something. Especially if you're one of those people that are scared of, that freaks you out, spiders. Talk nice to it and put it on the thing. Don't talk nice to it, put it on the thing, and then kill it. So that's what people train to do. Like with the sort of countries A through Z when they defended themselves since some ancient times, where and how they have not accounted for phrases like, so therefore reality value as criminal foreign influences without blaming other things, others, ourselves. And while leaving out how the breaching method implied that to be, leaving itself out. American history is about a breaching method that was entrenched in more than 13 colonies, more than themselves divided. And before our founders were born, that was sustained. Crazy, crazy laws, slavery, torture, extortion against everyone. Sickly distinctly. And the difference of that was measured and maintained. Where and how it is in only increasing value. Where and how we are value as logic and reason, as properly spoken for. So it's nothing personal against any of Judge Napolitano's sources. But in fact, Judge Napolitano and his sources, as all retired and standing at countries A through Z, everywhere the species body stands. The buck, in other words, their identity was already assigned and used for a breaching method. A predicate acts with facts delivery system method slash hypercriminal insidiousness nature delivery system method slash the value or difference of that. Where and how this is a fact treatment nature collusion or that body is sensed, even if that body is a majority of people, even if that body is a majority of countries. There are a whole bunch of ways this is hyper evidentially recorded. But see, that's what happened when we use the hyper evidential and we speak about American history the way our founders told us to speak about it. We get confronted by defenses of simultaneously criminally foreign influenced and tactically delusions raw teachings of American history and motivations for planting. No, because and the value of that, the difference of that rather. See, we have the same color eyes, different color eyes. Sometimes we won't forget nature's communicating to us as a system that these have been tactical ulterior from. Oh, where it is positive onto itself, no. Where it defines and how it defined the republic to be for syntax, to discern syntax. So, you guys, and so Judge Napolitano's story begins with an analogy. He says if it's like if someone needs to tell their friend they have a problem with alcohol. For example, the hospitals have mental health care people and people who have really problems with alcohol and they need someone to help them. Now those locations are also other types of their colleagues. They're attaching people fake uses of alcohol. They're pretending to perceive these are investigators who have been using while being and having been used remotely, tactically, criminally foreign influence as syntax nature, which is relative to part of the answer and proofs of where and how overtly slash insidiously and the difference of that, what nature communicates about black and white and exceptions. How and why what's debatable relative to the revelations coming from these truths. We have black pupils that speak about black and about and have relativity to our emotions no matter who we are. No, because emotions are about the simultaneous slash hyper simultaneous, or it is to discern that someone's leaving that out. Oh, but this is war and things. That's the way things are. But see, those that nature is brought onto people when we're asking them to get them on paper. They're hiding behind the identities of the branches of government, all kinds of ways. This method, see, there are knowns, there are unknowns, and there is that which is discovered. This method was hyper sophistication here, seeing what they're going to do with all three. Measuring and maintaining itself left out. And other communicated for our founders, then they communicate to communicate for themselves. It measured and maintained that. Our founders communicated for us not to address the value of the amendments without understanding the torture and the extortion, for example, sickly distinctly against George Washington and against James Madison. And so against us with our uses of Marbury versus Madison, the power slash S, with black pupils, whites of eyes, this hyperscope, greater than radar, more finite than radar, how it sees, how it can discern. Then as that too is greater than the force. Well, not as force, well, as the force. And so Bach sings to teach us things, but none will hear. The scientists stand the bridge. So we must all prepare. Jewish, juxtapose, energy's wall, inherent, sees high. I didn't look up that phrase that Scott, uh, I forgot his last name. I can't see the title of the video. But Judge Paul said it's one of his favorite sources, a Scott. And now, see, one of the things they leave out these clear as day hyper evidential proofs. There's a shell game going on, and that is being used. They have their differences used into branch. They're attaching kids and adults to fake uses of drugs and the alcohol. and all exceptions, exception nature that appear to be a demonstration of other things. They're using that criminally too. That's one of the things they look out for, where and how they've been using all location slash S, and it shows them needs means to hide that because they have been doing this. The identities of A through Z as systems tactical terror, and it is relative. We have to blame this because you guys are getting involved with other people's conversations. You guys are pretending passions and emotions. You guys are pretending you don't understand people when they say things clearly about acts. Then you change what people say to a description. The news media has people recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed with the intelligence, foreign and domestic, involved with uses, all words and phrases, criminally foreign influence, toxically delusions wrought, like criminal justice. They've been people on off state corrections offices, on off state judicial branch offices, roles with predicate acts with child offenders, roles with predicate acts with facts, methods, where and how at country A through Z. They use remotely all investigations, investigators, roles with predicate acts with facts against our homeland. Everywhere there is a homeland. You guys have been used remotely, self valuing identities of logic and uses of names that were self valued roles themselves with criminally foreign influence databases and applications by them at other locations, which is all location slash S. Two, collusion. Even though it wasn't the fault of anyone and stuff like that, it propagated the motivations, narratives, natures, and it is slavery. So there's slavery if you're not allowed to talk with a complete fact, human nature, quality, and seriousness about the people in New York City. How about a little girl on the top of one of those big people stacked buildings? Don't forget the suburbs. While you're thinking about this, don't forget the suburbs were designed for the torture and extortion of our founders, who had to counter extort the other founders. Our founders demonstrably demonstrated don't leave that out when you're addressing the amendments. Don't leave out how we had to hide our motivations, because that breaching method, even countries grouped, if they didn't stay it, they would get hurt. It put this balance like that. How do you think Little England didn't control the world like that? They were shown how to get away with it because they used their identity theft, fraud, slander against countries A through Z. Forgiveness is to get through this semi ancient rat trap that wants it to be called the rat trap, because, in other words, predicate acts with facts, methods, roles, needs, and natures already spoke for instances, or didn't, and or left out the value of what came first, which is in many ways more important, because that's how they get part of how they get away with it, through a breaching method. Again, forgiveness is not to blame people. Forgiveness is to have to let the hyper invisible but still discernible lead. So we still have to make subjects and point things out and use names and things like that. And when they lie about our motives for using other people's names, the interbranch are doing that, and they're getting away with it because of how they've been using identity theft, fraud, slander roles. Which is one of the three ways it is manifest. That fact, tribunation, torture, extortion, and slavery method, singular, but it is three-way grouped, the same way it is five-way grouped another identity of ways. And this is what the Quran and the Old Testament and the they did damage control, and they're conscious that the difference between the people that would preserve the religious books and the people against them, and exceptions, they would self value collusions with those differences used by a breaching method remotely, and themselves self value defenses of logic attributing value to titles and or to economic value worth that mean nothing. And that's increasingly important for how it is recorded. People get in the way of people's conversations. When across this suburbs across America and the world, we feel and all understand. If you understand America, they were designed for torture and slavery and extortion of everyone distinctly before our founders were born. And no one had free speech that was always sustained. There were enough things to blame other things others ourselves on and get away with it because there were more and more of those are truths, which was used for lies. No. Even if a truth is used for a lie by other. So they use truths like someone was in the same location at the same time with people as people who are, and someone takes a picture of that and or people recall that. Oh, I know that person. And they do it so people aren't going to forget this way they do it. I discerned it because the same way that this breaching method uses the former, for example, former standing chairperson on the Racketeering Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, Robert Luskin, and his lawyer, Robert Cheverry. And he was directed to have a lawyer, by the judge from years earlier. I wasn't there to witness that case. But his co-defendants in a 2006 district court case, and witnesses and evidences on both people involved with evidence on both sides have roles of predicate acts against me. Also with the news, and these are people on leading up to the World Trade Center attack, in that context and sense. And there are also people that were planting evidences on every campus I went, and and roles with uses of it, singularly used at other locations. So now I'm needing to use the names of people that the campuses brought up in the news and the difference of that, and the courts forged and switched names and stacked things into databases, and the difference of the intelligence tied to them. And these are people with Sandy Hook campuses and prisons involved with predicate acts, with fax methods with their patients and criminals, and reported a serial killer before, involved with uses of the location reportedly of his body dumping spot, or one of them. And the people next to it are also with the foreign and domestic military families, and they're also pretending passions and emotions with ones I don't know, and as themselves. And they were influenced. There are people that were these are people with a game where people who were never in a class with each other. They're attaching kids to fake locations so they can make group think. But it was way worse than groupthink. It's criminally foreign influence, identity theft, fraud, slander. Make fake exceptions, have others involved with it, and the difference of that is used all along Route 175. Are people who repeat hearsay, racketeering worse than war crimes, and differentially overt criminal enterprises, private ones, insidiousness of A through Z, or the intelligence, which includes interbranch, are the ones differentially not wanting to, but increasingly anyway. So while more details are left out or made up, and while relativity leaves out what came first. See, they've been controlling questions while we need to bring out the delusions of the interbranch too. But I'm sure I never asked Judge Napolitano, I don't know, Judge never met Judge Napolitano, but I'm sure if you asked him, he would warn us against telling courts, at least how they stand now, not to tell them, not to bring up their delusions. They have rules with all kinds of medical corruption, also with judges of various natures of courts, and I don't know if the state judicial branch offices, where this method applied, for example, the uses of names historically, like regarding the history of algebra, like regarding the history of the Republic. They have names, treatments that have criminal insidiousness natures of positive treatments and negative treatments, and they have differences with that are collusions with the same identity of relationship to itself of the reception of logic and of identity that can't defend itself and afford discern the shell game with the exceptions as collusions, using color and having used it, and using religions. There are people with the name domain and involved with all along Ridge Road in conjunctions to it, in conjunctions to that, like Route 175. And these are people on off campuses involved with whiting forensics and with Sandy Hook campuses and prisons and child campuses and people with next to Fox Connecticut News, involved also with the name Mendez, and people with conjunctions to Hangdog Lane and Two Route Highway, involved with predicate acts with facts, identity theft, fraud, slanders, fake ties and fake natures of ties, falsified police reports rolls, false news predicate acts rolls, World Trade Center predicate acts rolls, behavior racketeering worse than war crimes. So there's a triage. We know, thank God, we have doctors if we need it. Say we had a heart attack, something like that. Someone gets in a car accident. There, thank God we have doctors. See, but they're wasting money too. They're not just wasting it. They have whole scams with with the lawyers there too. In other words, they're keeping the whole nature criminally foreign influenced, and how they have the military hiding behind. They're like throwing up things. Oh, it's A or B. You're for this or that. Oh, I don't like the person. In other words, fake. We shouldn't have to debate people we don't know and entertain all kinds of tactical delusions where they have the religious spots and sensibilities in the background too. Can't walk up to people and force them to have a conversation with you about police. In other words, I'm saying it right here, and these are the courts at the same time. The families through time they're planting since everyone was a kid, and before that, they're hiding life progressions from that. People there are judges with the name. There are judges that some are way sicker than others, and the difference of that is also used in exceptions, like with the different natures of courts involved, like Connecticut District Court. I don't. In other words, I'm not making opinions about, but I'm talking about the ones involved personally, tied to the court that's recorded various ways, as the ones involved on off Two Route Highway and Hangdog Lane, who have been planting identity theft, fraud, slanders, and they say they repeat all kinds of as strangers from other classrooms, and with the exceptions, they try to fake that too. They lie about the motivations when people use their names because the interbranch will not get onto paper. Since I was a kid, they've been putting fake things in databases with police chiefs tied to the same house slash S involved with them, with Hartford Hospital, with child offenders, people involved with child abusers, leaders of the kids, and medical offenders of the kids, and with upskirt pictures involves other natures of the kids. They have their own kids involved, doctors, a Leahy family, a number of men and women in a Leahy family together too. They're one of the ones that work with intelligence agencies, foreign and domestic military. I don't know, they have roles with the Saudis, forced Saudis to roles with them. And we know that the World Trade Center had forced um, uh, force us to counter. So then the difference of that is also consciously used. These are people on off Trinity College and Central Connecticut State University through time, involved with the Mark Violet, involved with the Mike Violet, and their neighbors, involved with conversations with everyone around everyone, and with religious nutbags, interreligious spots. Oh, well, you're saying that you brought it up first. These are people involved with child offenders, and they're getting involved with people's conversations dishonestly. So, and they're switching names with the interbranch roles. Only three branches of government get them out the paper, and the exceptions tied to them. are involved with this, putting fake things in databases, increasingly with ties to that. So, and apologize to have the Harris family and others apologize to Ray Reynolds too, and don't keep him roles with the people on and off Central Connecticut State University in the Britain, Connecticut, involved intercities here with these games. And with the people that they're typing that typed in the comments before, like a Ray Clow. I don't know if that's him or not, but they're involved with Ray with using the difference of that too, because they have that involved with the police confessions over the town officer's phone, and then call back they were confirmed it was their officer using the name Sullivan, but they also confessed also through statements that they have only one officer who uses the name McGee. To me, that's how they made threats to me and others, because they have three different arrests where they have different McGees, and one of them is involved with people that were involved with. I don't know what happened in the context of my father's death, but he's one of the ones involved with it. The first one, he has men and women with Rocky Hills campuses involved with it, with the intelligence community, and one kid they had brought into my class that I believe that's one of the one with the McGee, but that's a different than the one that they said is McGee last. And they have all these forced falsified police reports also for the same arrest. All kinds of I tell best, but I see they do all kinds of tricks too and lie about their motivations with that. These are increasingly people involved with foreign bodies and people with the name O'Brien and Collo and Mr. Abruzzi and teachers of them who they're in the background furthering fake things into databases. Then they can't go back. You know, they're playing little magic tricks. I never had a class with Ray Claw in grammar school or middle school. They put a fake, or I never saw him around the middle school either. And Joe DeMauro, they made one fake exception. I saw him one time real quick on middle school. One time real quick, one day on grammar school, Joe DeMauro with the Mr. Abruzzi. They're involved with people at Trinity College playing evidences, criminally foreign influence with a whole bunch of news stories and the sensibilities of people being directed to use the right to lie and use the truth for lies. And speaking about that with others, leaving out what's actually communicated. In other words, people aren't even lying when they're lying. That's how bad it is with them. And that, but they're pretending other putting people in jail, like the presidents, because they hurt each other to keep them hiding with the intelligence community was hiding from them, pretending not to realize from both parties. Since before Obama came into office, Central Connecticut State University has roles on and off the election spots, and further, how there are campuses where sciences are manifest. The Department of Central Connecticut State University are involved with ongoing confessions, demonstrations, recorded their roles with uses of the sense and sensibilities of little kids intercities through time, with their roles with foreign and domestic military, criminally foreign influence, tactically delusions, raw, with psychiatrists too, and their extended family members, and the difference of that, the difference of everyone next to everyone. Everyone's attached to faith and changed conversations. Any little detail they can get away with pretending that this is where the nature is involved too, as criminal insidiousness slash hyper criminal insidiousness. Have to show it as that too, because the breaching method is an additional identity of simultaneous nature involved with those six things we know about history, and they are left out with the and the nature of the debate where they think where they're pretending things are debatable, they are not. They're offensively pretending to perceive prejudice, like with people with the name Domain and with the name Riley, involved with the school boards, involved with identity theft, fraud, slanders, and planting evidences on all sides of my house and outside of their houses, involved with sexually themed abuses of girls and made them self-value roles because everyone's talking through each other, and that's being relied upon. In other words, so O'Reilly family has roles with some Jewish themed and sexual themed abuses of kids in my area, And I want to go and through time. Now they're involved with someone with the name Riley with the school boards, who is also involved further with Emmett, a Mr. Emmett, and other people involved with the confessions of a principal child abuser before he got caught. They forced not told on. They fabricated emails and they hid what was recorded over the phones. And then some when I had conversation with Officer Powers, he controlled the conversation. He never even let me talk, so he could ask questions. And tactically delusions raw, like little punks in the background. I won't even know what he looks like. These are people involved too with Central Connecticut State University, foreign and domestic military, including their extended family members of a Kuwaiti general, involved with deans at Tunxis and at Central Connecticut State University with his kids involved. The dean judge. I did not respond to his confession demonstrations. He's involved with people leading up to the World Trade Center attack. In that context and since, that forced, tricked, hurt, and persuaded Saudis to roles with them, also with collusions with names at forensics locations since before I was born, that are involved increasingly with predicate acts on my street with names involved from other areas and the ones tied. And they're lying about sense and sensibilities. They're trying to make so these are behavior racketeering natures. They have families fighting. They're putting everyone involved in one's business. Like the police said, one family, one person reportedly broke into another person's house, threatened to kill them. And I don't know either. I mean, I don't know. All I know is that Central Connecticut State University has all these people involved with those countries involved and cultures and names involved, like a Eric Oliveri and with the name Cololo and Joshua Stryker, people from Trinity College who've been planting evidences and fake motivations, fake ties to me, fake natures of ties to me, and behind my back, so I can't do anything about it. And they use the corner of exception, fake it. They're in the background, need to pretend that because these are people involved with the judges and prosecutors and their families. And overt criminal enterprise is plural. Child offenders, proven leaders of the kids, and more roles with the kids of the leaders of the kids, and through time. So these are people, all kinds of people involved with Hartford Hospital, involved with planting evidences on all sides of. They have roles with victims and victims advocates at courts where they have personal and professional criminal involvement with the prosecutors, a Salisbury and a Brian Silver, and people involved with various natures of courts, locations, crimes, people involved with identity theft, fraud, slanders, planting fake motivations, and tactically delusions wrought with a Joseph Davis. And he said to John Dennis and people along Route 175 involved with them saying different things because they're involved with investigators who pretend not to realize they've recorded and communicated others through people. This is how they stay naive too, and while pretending other. When did they have the integrity to stop us from communicating what our founder showed told us to communicate about how they had collusions with the overt criminal enterprises, the private ones, and interbranch at the same time? That's what witch trial is about, and the news was about that too. It's an identity theft, fraud, slander method, though, not where it was non-distinctly manifesting where it is now. See, but when we start observing and paying attention to how what it was historically, that brings up, um, you know, the integrity of logic that is with these other identities of experts, and that can't defend itself and afford to protract the short words of anyone appreciating and trying to get the Constitution unabridged. So we cannot appreciate one amendment without appreciating not free speech of a quality and aspect in nature that does not leave out the value of what came first. And that's predicate acts with facts relative to the people who already pretended they cared about their oaths, leaving out details, leaving out exception nature, how nature shows it. Oh, but that's that. they'll say things that they couldn't put on paper, but everyone will say it together. But systems tactical ulterior from the one that is hypernative pure. That is why and how it is showing us. See, the breaching method uses all natural differences to measure and maintain identities of logic, leaving itself out. That's leaving our founders out because our founders saw that breaching method. And they knew that any identity who would move to be a unity would be discerned. So they extorted our other founders. They counter extorted them. And they were glad for one way because they were all everyone was fact treating nature enslaved. And the laws were so crazy against everyone. Once they made them do that for what they weren't didn't want to do, they would have been hurt anyway. And see, that had been sustained, so that means everyone hurt each other for itself. And when they talked about it and they recorded it, they left that out and the difference of it. So forgiveness is not to give up, but not to leave that out. And to get to that point, we have to be able to use lists. Tactically, all the ulterior from the people who use lists can afford discern. People speaking for programming our countries A through Z. People speaking for logic. So the interbranch Connecticut and the intelligence tied to them, they use their natural differences. They use their religions to pretend passions and emotions, pretend motivations of others and those also vertically. So there's a Mazzucato family, and there's who lives like diagonally from a Domain family. Where I don't know where they live. I don't know where the others. Adam Domain and Mike Domain, and they're involved with the spots next to Fox Connecticut News, involved with wire crimes with them, and with child abusers, leaders of kids, including with school resource officers, and how they train the interbranch courts people, and how they train the kids. They're keeping them criminally foreign influence. How they keeping them criminally foreign influence? Tactically delusions raw. So we have to stay how they're forging and switching names because that's how they force, trick, hurt, and persuade everyone to pretend not to realize, but be forcing a criminally foreign influence, fact, nature, quality aspects, natures, and motivations planting. Because that's also how they screen the foreign bodies, but not the ones there screened alone. There's a hyper foreign body that knew that modern countries, that semi ancient countries, would have to counter itself as fact driven nature by using phrases like criminally foreign influence, by using phrases like criminal insidiousness nature, but not knowing how to do it properly and not discerning itself properly with that. And so blaming other things, others, ourselves, don't where and how the only ways it more and more it knew how to counter. This took complete possession of the integrity of the names of the sciences and made and the names therefore with uses of it and use the difference of that too and sustain that at all locations /s. I tell it best vaccines and the difference between the roles of overt criminal enterprises, private ones. Note juxtaposed with all locations, they were even with schools because the interbranch needs to hide life progressions from there. They already did through time and tactical delusions that are also relative. In other words, where and how when they speak, they leave out exceptions and exception dates. So it's all right. You have directions. Oh, stay for Israel at any cost. All right, but you guys bringing it up in the thing. Why are you bringing it up then? In other words, in the background too, when they're pretending passions and emotions. In other words, and when they speak about what they feel about what people post online, they're sequence shifting. They're hiding what came first, which shows them involved with identity theft, fraud, slanders, and uses of the difference between who we know, if that's really the person typing or not. That's also being used by the people asking questions. They're needing to hide how they use that criminally foreign influence already, as collusion with crime scenes increasingly, including the interbranch, and the difference of that with all sides in criminal and civil cases, the victims, their advocates, their doctors, the names, the family members of the doctors, and the prosecutors and judges and their family members at the same time kept predicate acts with factual nature's needs, planting fake motivations. So increasingly, Central Connecticut State University in the Britain, Connecticut, has roles with names from Connecticut, from Weathersfield, Connecticut. They said people, little kids from through time, recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed people involved with overt criminal enterprises and sexual and medical offenders of kids and courts and foreign and domestic involved with Mr. Abruzzi and the Demoro families. And these are people with the names Scalora with Weathersfield Police switching names and wire crimes and planting evidences on my area, planting fake motivations too. You a whole kind of methods like this. So we can't let people pretend that people are speaking bad about the police and hide just to hide predicate acts and keep using that phrase like conspiracy theory. They have criminally foreign influence readings of statutes that give them the benefit of the doubt and stuff. And more they have criminally foreign influence readings of statutes uses of that only because you guys are preventing mandated law while pretending other here and there. So they get away with such by pretending people had conversations with people about police equipment and about others' names and people, their families around everyone. Then they ask people about that. And they have rights to lie where they use it where they don't have the right to lie. They've been positing fake things in databases with foreign bodies on and off the campuses connected. These are people involved with leading up to the Afghanistan through before Obama was in office. There was corruption with Trinity College has people involved with Afghanistan, with Weathersfield Police Department, Police Chief Cintron 1 years ago. People with the name Oliveri involved planting evidences, sequence shifts, fake ties, fake natures of ties to me with others, and sequence shifts and fake motivations planting and roles with child abusers increasingly as people who were in my middle school I had nothing to do with, and in my grammar school I had nothing to do with, who were putting fake things in databases, and they tried to make exceptions. As the people further involved with the principal child abuser and the narratives and natures in the background with my name. Please get them off my name and so I can stop talking about this. But these are also people involved with all these countries in the news. Manifest also at Central Connecticut State University, who is involved with a whole bunch of people at Hartford Hospital and at the locations next to Central Connecticut State University as intelligence families, also with the ones next to Trinity College, who are involved with this with every campus I went to with little fake people and then exploitations of it later, like people with the name Harris. Now these are also people with Texas ties with those systems with psychiatry and trying to counter this and that. They've stayed with uses of those locations. The Institute of Living was founded on the campus of Hartford Hospital in 1822, with slavery still entrenched in North and South America, because our founders could only extort to an extent, and then and still had to hide, their own roles from the other founders and from the breaching method, which is through other countries too. So don't forget the breaching method knew that people will blame other things other than themselves when countering things like criminal insidiousness, countering groupings of humanity, roles and relativity wrong, exactly the way wanted it needs. So the religious people offensively pretend to perceive prejudice by others because they were planting fake motivations, and there are proofs of this. So they try to they want to look about what's online. They're sometimes they have the people from Facebook changing what people said. Sometimes the Connecticut interbranch and the federal associated with them. Former Director of the FBI Robert Luskin, former standing chairperson on Racketeering Influence and Corrupt Organization Act, and his co-defendants who are involved with their family members, also involved with uses of corners of streets, involved with identity thefts and fraud, slanders against me, with Weathersfield police planting fake ties to me, fake communication, make exception on eighth grade class, real fast in my campus. How he knew my name? He came in to confess he knew my name with someone tied to a Mr. Abruzzi and all a bunch of people involved with overt criminal enterprises, private criminal enterprises, and foreign and domestic medical with their family members, involved with also other natures of abuses of kids. So Mr. Pruzzi is involved with identity theft, fraud, slander with people also intercultural and intercultural. It's not a legitimate Italian themed or whatever when he brings my name or Demoro's name or his own. Per the people at Central Connecticut State University and other kids and being a punk. Don't pretend you had a conversation with me, Mr. Abruzzi, and with your kids. Get them off because you have work criminal enterprises involved here. You have the witness protection program involved with your people tied to you, and then again used. That has something to do with the uses of the corners of streets on Grizzle Street and conjunctions to it, but it's other corners of streets too. People involved with identity theft, fraud, slander, planting fake motivations, also online. So there's a Ray Claw that I typed in there and used the phrase, he used the word immature, for example, as one of the, and he used the word um, psychedelics. He's involved with wire crimes and drugs and medicines crimes with some doctors, and one's named Scalora and the report and Spada, and as judges involved with mental health care people. I never met the Spada guy. And these are people involved with the former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, in Newington locations, and people that know my name, I don't know their name, who are involved with identity thefts and frauds, and others film fake exceptions, appearances and stuff with the buildings next to the state capitol. A whole bunch of people involved with from Weathersfield with identity theft, fraud, slander, with a whole bunch of other countries. So Mendez police further have and had roles with some principal child abuser, and Phil Cololo was involved with that. And these are also people involved with overt criminal enterprises and private ones, and they're not legitimately with if they're unmarked police forms. They have acting professors also involved with predicate acts with them with names along Church Street. Again, they're not legitimate intelligence community uses of right to lie. They have roles with judges and prosecutors putting fake things in databases and through time with all sides in criminal and civil cases used and victims advocates and their doctors and interbranch at the same time used to lock collusions and with the news at the same time. So in other words, they have no right to speak about religion and try to make stupid debates with people when things aren't debatable. We have black people's right to buy. In other words, in the beginning of the Old Testament says all that someone is supposed to know has to know is right there where the people names of the people of the sciences will come together. The people of the sciences will come together. In the beginning of the Old Testament, it says all that someone has to do is be honest. Are we going to call the identity of the hyper simultaneous Allah or not? And so if they're not going to be call it Allah and they're honest about it, love them anyway. And it says if they're going to try, if they really believe in that, they have an obligation, even not to pray in any mosque for reasons that they could discern. There are proofs that this goes because there are 5 ways grouped, and there are 3 ways grouped distinctly that the identity of Bible simultaneous. is manifest. I taught past vaccines. So there are five identities of time as the value of that which was true, which actually happened, even if everyone believes other. You know. Then there's the order of the finite. I mean, then there was the body. I forgot what those. Then there's the body of time. That is the past that we know is true always. We know there's a little bit more. In other words, the value of what actually was true before. Then the order of that is the bomb we know past that we know is true always. Then there's the order that is active. Right now, we know what's going on around us, but only to an extent. And we know what's to come, but only to an extent. That's the fourth part of time. And then there's more than beyond that. We know that, which is true always. And that's the fifth grouped part of time that is also three ways grouped as that which is in our control. The part that we know in the past, the part now active, and the extent we know now that we have control too here now, and we have that value relationship to the hypernative system that never entertained that bridge. So they're leaving out exceptions and exception nature where we don't have to stand up for the name of Israel or any other name, including our own, because they are abridged and we have not had our own liberated. See President Chief. You guys can't even explain our founders who had to counter extort the other founders or how they were even capable of it. Thank God for Native Americans. Thank God for indigenous population. Because sickly distinctly, we're all sickly non distinctly the victim of the same breaching method. Again, that relies upon it assigned everyone blame other things other than themselves and taking blame for that. And as real motivations, but they left out and didn't even discern at the same time. And the difference of that is used by themselves for others. The breaching method needs their roles with. So they use medical databases to put fake medical information, fake uses of drugs. One of the ways they put people to fake locations. They have fake evidences on a mass scale. So Hartford Hospital has people with names next to the campuses and roles with families with fire campuses that run and hide life progressions because of their roles with people like they have roles with Russians, with fire campuses, families, and with Hartford Hospital and other hospitals with military also involved with identity theft frauds with them, also tactically delusions wrought since founding, fabricating audio and video transcripts with people increasingly on and off the Weathersfield Community Center, also involved with these interreligious spots, fake conversations with me about religion, too. Try to make it with the exception, too. In other words, tactically delusions raw, too. These are little creeps with the interreligious spots and the difference of that usage. As identity theft, fraud, slander, pretending fake motivations. Make sure they get onto paper with the interbranch. Let's go. Let's go. No, this is right through wars. They got more World Trade Center predicate acts rolls. And with the locations next to it, like the World Trade Center, the Ninth Circuit Court next to it has a whole bunch of people increasingly involved with predicate acts in Connecticut, as the names that were involved there insidiously incensed. Note how WFSB attached me to fake conversations with themselves and with other about that, attaching me to fake locations with themselves too. Now, if they did it over the phone, in other words, it was proof that it wasn't over the phone too. In other words, but they changed. They have roles with being coached from sometimes from their own, sometimes from people off the intelligence families next to their location in Rocky Hill. They're playing games. Get them onto name paper, one name in sequence. Fix the fake news, the fake conversations with me, WFSB, and say sorry to the parents and tell on the other parents what I caught you doing with them, with the principal child abuser when you guys were forcing that. Please, WFSB, this is Rock Hill, Connecticut. Make sure they hear. And they send in fake people to start pretending they know me, like imply it and stuff. These are people forging and switching names. People, a whole bunch of people tied to a Joshua Schumack involved with digital crimes, with digital child offenders that are also involved with the religious themed people who are KKK, Confederate flag themed, black themed, military police, sheriffs. Get down. Make sure they get on paper and stop getting involved with people's images and using fake things in databases. Let's get them on paper. Fake motivation. You guys are breached. Fix the fake World Trade Center conversations with me. Let's go and get them onto paper with the police chief Cintron. Let's go. Let's get them on paper so we don't have to keep talking about it and go deeper into it. And then let's fix the fake news and stop lying about what they think about what I say online. All exceptions, if they want to bring that up, they're gonna fear God to do that because I caught them with that too, lying. What came first? Oh, we have the right to lie. And the difference of two when you're speaking about when others tell the truth or lying, you guys have rules of predicate acts with facts, and you're hiding what came first, and you're hiding foreign bodies involvements with only three branches of government exceptions tied to them. These are people who pretend emotions and passions to just jump in and keep the conversation stupid, and while they're committing predicate acts. Like again, and oh, I didn't realize it was because the Sandy Hook was dramatic. Get them on paper. Sandy Hook has roles with more predicate acts with facts and with the courts pretending to be against such. The FBI has further roles with Sandy Hook corruption. They should fear God. In other words, and especially if Alex Jones, if you are FBI or what, I don't know. But I asked you to give me a response because I have more people involved with the Sandy Hook who have involvements with more child abusers, leaders of the kids. That was and is involved that were intercities with their roles with the campuses. Names from Central Connecticut State University have judges and prosecutors involved on with the names next to the campuses too. A Kyle Gill, a Tanya Gill, a Jose Gill, and his wife, and they work at a hot dog place there, for example. They have roles with the intelligence community, foreign and domestic, where they have rights to lie, where they're using right to not lie not to, and they're planting fake motivations. They have roles with identity theft, fraud, slanders with news groups and with sexual circles, with probation officers involved on and off Trinity College in Hartford, with the names next to there who were involved with the names next to Central Connecticut State University, who are involved with the intelligence from Weathersfield through time, criminally foreign influence, tactical delusions, raw, identity theft, false sequence shift planting, fake motivations planting. They have roles with intelligence that works on the campus too, and the difference of that used. There is a Gary Sasso also over there involved with the houses and the other next to each other, and people involved with child abusers and people at the Department of Children and Families involved with it. Various natures of drugs and medicines, crimes with kids, uses of fake motivations planting, uses of federal evidences crimes, federal rules of evidences crimes, and way worse. Identity theft, fraud, slander. They can't defend their natures. In other words, they're planting evidence as roles with differences. Their uses consciously of the differences of women roles with the principal child abusers and digital pictures and on camera on people from a woman from Hartford court planted evidences with women from New Britain court on my computer and involved with people with the military with Eric Burgess and that she said also went on that with, and there's some of the people with in intercities with leasing agents and things like that, and people with the military involved with housing and apartments and policing of everything and the EMS. in other words, foreign and domestic military with this Leahy family involved with identity theft, fraud, slander, child abusers, various natures of organized crime, fake motivations, not legitimate uses of the right to lie with the FBI director and his co-defendants, fake conversations with me about legal cases that they have criminal involvements with and with the FBI in their defendant capacities. They have roles with names that with Connecticut District Court and New Britain Superior Court and Hartford courts involved with people on off fire departments and campuses. They're using their kids and their fake motivations, the difference between their roles and their kids. They're planting fake motivations. Follow mandated law for the interbranch. Don't let them keep pretending fake things about me in the background, fake motivations for not liking me or what. I don't even know that I'm minding my business to keep my business. In other words, you guys keep painting yourselves in corners with people at the schools I went increasingly timed, then they timed the roles with predicate acts on my street with the same ones, same motivations planting. That's how I caught them with Trinity College and CCSU people involved with the principal child abuser and the Facebook pages of it. The intelligence community has been using the Facebook pages of Hartford courts of the with the campuses and with the principal child abuser. They have collusions with it. You're gonna see because they have their family members involved with it, and they're hiding behind titles and things like that, passions and emotions. So we can't. We have to deal with them on paper because they have tactical delusions too. These are people hiding those that to Judge Napolitano too. So in other words, not honesty is speaking for religions, and they're leaving out exceptions and exception nature because they don't give us responses. We have to ask online. If they have to hide things and pretend things for whatever, to do that, but get me a response, one name and sequence for the interbranch. They have no legitimate motivations. They want to put the motivations for playing games like that, have them put them on paper. Because through time, the domain family also has rules of foreign and domestic medical intercities that have little plots on the community center of Weathersfield with sequence shifts. And people involved with mayors, involved with child abuse, identity theft, fraud, slayers, and people that live near them involved, like a former mayor Gold, all along Two Route Highway, Hangdog Lane. Please get this Dillon family on paper, and let's go. Let's get these people on paper. One name in sequence with the police chiefs and Tron, and the ones forging and switching names with the name McGee. Let's go. Let's get them on paper, please. Don't make me beg. Don't make me. How many people? No, I'm gonna speak for myself by myself. They attach me to fake conversations with others while I'm by myself. They attached me and my family members to fake and change communications. They've been using right to lie, but they don't have the right to lie. I had no communications at all with this Leahy family. The whole family works at the intelligence community at Hartford Hospital. They have roles leading up to the World Trade Center attack, in that attack context and since. And there was a Scalora family who's been pretending to know me behind my back intercities through time. A whole bunch of Scalora families since I was a kid, as their roles with this Abruzzi guy, and extended cover. They reportedly extended family members of the Morrows who are involved with wire crimes and mail crimes methods with Weathersfield Police and with people named Kerr, who are also on the Facebook pages, roles planting evidences on all sides of my campus with Weathersfield Police and with people intercities all along the Berlin Turnpike. So, and this Joshua Stryker, he's a little creepy fake with a gun and badge, been growing up spreading lies about himself and others. Please get him on paper with this Joshua Stryker. I want to know where he lives too, and the people involved with him at Trinity College. With the Dean Alford also recorded confess. Some murderers got involved. Some probation officer of Mike Mike Oliver recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed one of the people involved with remote uses of Dean Alford and of Joshua Stryker putting fake things in fake comment, changed conversations with me with strangers and with a girl I actually communicated with, and they lied about the substance of that, and they lied about that. As roles also with people at the three spots at the end of the Berlin Turnpike through time each year, increasingly stacking fake ties and natures of ties to be there and at other places connected. It's also a Paul Kelly and his neighbors involved with the news locations planting evidences with news stories and at corners of streets, and how they're mixing the kids and the adults to the fake motivations with a whole bunch of foreign at timed collusions with them, uses of corners of streets, fake motivations planted not legitimately, screening your roles with all these other countries. I'm gonna slap the uses of the phrase criminal justice right out of CCSU's face. Get them on paper, one name and sequence, and response with the O'Brien family and the people with the name Carone, a Jamie Carone, a Kevin Carone, and a Mark Carone involved with identity theft fraud, fake motivation planting too with the foreign bodies. In other words, we're going to show you that they touch me and them to fake conversations, fake words with each other. And they had something to do with, they took a picture near me near them one time to make it look like we're a group that know each other with a Danielle Perron and a Mark Violet and a Josta Glovinskis who have roles on off Trinity College with people with predicate acts on my street. I never saw Danielle Perron on my street in my life. In other words, her family have roles with the Department of Transportation, Department of Motor Vehicles, and something to do with a religious spot next to there, a St. Anthony school, is involved with a whole bunch of people involved with identity theft, fraud, slanders against me. In other words, they try to take a picture walking by you and then pretend they know you, and then in other words, they make fake exceptions. And there's a Joshua Julian, I don't know at all. He's one of the ones involved with home break-ins. People that recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed he's involved with predicate acts and with other natures of federal evidences, crimes, and identity thefts and frauds roles online and on my street, and with the principal child abuser, and as roles with people with other principals. There was a former principal of the same school or more that a Rick Sam Faglione also recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed of the and a Fred Gruzet has predicate acts with identity theft frauds with private school kids putting fake things and with fake ties between kids on and fake motivations for with people on public schools that don't even know each other. I never saw Mark Rick Sam Faglione around the Weathersfield High School. He was in one campus class with me in middle school, and on the other side, never other side of the classroom, he sat. We never had communication. There's something to do with him and a Leahy family and a Harris family and a Mister Abruzzi and a Mister Neville and people tied to a Mister Potter and a Casper family. I never had a chat with Casper. I never had a class with Chet Casper. They have something to do with people all along Route 175 who have roles with predicate acts with a Mayor Gold and other mayors. And fake motivations, fake ties and natures of ties between people, and fake motivations for how and why they met. In other words, in other words, and feelings about that. Something to do with this Gold family involved with this Joe Aiello also, and people on the sides of parks, uses of the differences between that and the people that were involved one time. Took a picture of that probably, and it was like a weird. They were lying about that when I went there and real quick, and they take pictures and they pretend I know that person, and that came up. That's increasingly involved with people next to Fox Connecticut News and next to WFSB in Rocky Hill. Fox Connecticut News is in Hartford. Now these are the sources. There are sources of Fox News, not national, international, who has roles with a I forgot his name, a retired police chief from Hartford, but he has roles with people with the name O'Brien also, with wire crime acts and methods, and with child offenders and medical offenders, and they're also tactically delusions raw, and with social media uses where they replace what's actually recorded and hide it, and with people on off the state judicial branch offices, also involved with the body dumping spot of Billy Grasso, per confessions also confirmed on Facebook, and they had different body dumping spots reported by the news, and they have roles with the names next to the body dumping spot, like Fayenza, which is also next to the house named Keene. A Keene family was involved with identity thefts and frauds instances against me. I never had anything to do with them. That I played on a T-ball team with them. Has something to do with a Robert Rodriguez, who's also involved with what brought up the principal child abuser, and he used the word logistics. He's one of the ones on Facebook involved with shopping centers in Rocky Hill with a Mike Roberts, who has been planting evidences, identity thefts, and frauds, and using that to hide what came first, with people on off the state judicial branches offices, increasingly at other locations involved criminally, and conjunctions to town conjunctions to Route 3, like Two Rod Highway. I mean, Hangdog Lane, where it runs into Two Rod Highway, and the conjunctions to that has something to do with people tied to this Casper family increasingly since I was a kid, making confessions tied to me. And they didn't let me finish up. I had him on the ground. I was standing up, and his head's right there. He punched me a whole bunch of times in Judge Casper. I didn't even know. I tried fake. They put fake passions, and then some guy that was watching from the car came and broke it up. And I don't know that kid's name. Who knows mine? So these people know my names. I never had classes with them. I had something to do with it, with Debbie Gold and people that would repeat the word Jew because they're trying to make it look like I talk like them. With and where I said one time about we should drop a bomb on Israel. That's because they were doing that. I knew that they were gonna have to lie about why I said that. Oh, there's no excuse. There's excuse. You guys have roles with child offenders. You guys ignore people when we speak calmly, and they're hiding behind it. They have Jewish community centers involved with judges and prosecutors pretending passions and emotions, involved planting evidences with child offenders, including sexual and medical. A Leahy family has various judges and courts putting fake things in databases with themselves. As people involved with jury seating criminally foreign influence, like a guy named Z-Man, recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed, putting fake things in databases with and him, I had short. I told him not to. I warned him not to. The Zima guy. I mean, I'm not gonna kept it simple. Hardly any words with him. In other words, these are people that are trying to put more fake things to hide what came first. They're putting fake uses of drugs and alcohol consciously into databases. Where there are exceptions, they're constantly exploiting that. There are people with the school boards, further with the name Riley, involved with sexual and religious and ducking behind sensibilities tied to that, involved with identity thefts and frauds associated with them with these domain and Mendez police at the Hartford locations, and they're involved with this Rick C.M. Faglione with confessions tied to the Brian Silver and the Leahy family, involved with their roles with planting evidences and saying racist things with people that are putting fake things into databases with judges and prosecutors, fake motivations for it, trying to put it on other people. So I don't know. They hung around together when I was a freshman. Apparently, I don't know, and then I don't know what they all went their ways. I had nothing to do with them when they were freshmen, and after they had made a fake exception after they graduated with people from Hartford courts and the Britain courts. They were having to put fake ties to me out of sequence, the fake nature ties to me as roles, uses of investigators through time, and then again too with uses of body dumping spots and people next to them who had time collusions with people on off the state judicial branch offices with identity theft frauds, slanders, confessions tied to a Dillon family and his nonverbal confirmations to me. People tied to a former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, his nonverbal confirmations, demonstrations to me in a 2006 district court case. And right before that, with the police further involved with child offenders and fake ties to me on Fox Connecticut News in Hartford. People are pretending sense and sensibilities. They're losing using truths for lies. Their kids even because you guys were predicate acts with facts since you got and you hit roles with uses of that because certain type of victim slash hyper victim it only allows or it will sense that body even if it's a minority, even if it's a majority of countries and will hurt it will adapt. Get CT snapped in their receipt right there. Prepare. See native dreams. So they're out of mind when they speak about religion, about when they debate. The nature of debate is involved with war crime acts and methods that are manifest where where and how the database is involvements with the breaching method and where and how we are syntactically manifest is manifest. I tell it best, vaccines. I teach us loan to end the world's sick things, sick means. So before our founders were born, the suburbs were designed for the torture and extortion of our founders. This is not debatable. People pretend that they could speak good. They're just punk criminal and citizen natures, positive and negative. Make sure I get them onto paper, one name in sequence. Who disbelieves? We need to disbelieve who disbelieves act to come with the hyperact. Hey, to get these people, to follow mandated law. I'll show you to follow mandated law. Someone tells you, and so it's all right. If you want to deny it, get them out on paper into branch. I want a confession. I want a response for the rest of the names in confessions. The principal child abuser brought up. There's a Levine family and our people along Route 3 increasingly tied to that, involved with their child abuses and drugs and medicines crimes, and with federal evidences crimes with the FBI and foreign and domestic families, military too. In other words, so get the heck on paper real fast. I could have been a Kuwaiti guy too at the Rock Hill Flag Center with foreign and domestic male and female intelligence community playing games with the police chief Cintron and his extended family member, people with the name Mazzucato, involved with these games with forging and switching names, cops, planting evidence on my streets since I was a kid, increasing fake motivation ties to be attached to me to fake locations, sequence shifts. Has something to do all on Route 175. Get them onto paper. Let's go. Let's go. Let's get them on paper. Into branch too. There are foreign bodies involved with these same bodies. So let's get them on paper, please. Judge Napolitano, follow mandated law for your sources. They will change what they said when you ask them right. And Hartford Hospital will confess this. The Leahy family, if he pretends I have one word, they have a whole fake conversation with me about criminal cases that he's involved with the criminals in it, and with the judges and prosecutors involved with their family members with it. And they're planting evidences with people on all on the boxing gyms, people tied to the Charter Oak Community Center with this and the San Juan Center and Bellevue Square with the judges and prosecutors, family members like Della Fera and Escalora or Espada. I don't. Maybe the Escalora has one of those probate judges too, but I heard there that's part of it, and part of it is confessed by the Della Fera's father. There's like a bunch of brothers. I never had a class with them. They're in the background planting evidences, has something to do with their roles with Town Line Drive. People involved with see how there's the reports of a murder that has ties to fire departments and Weathersfield and at the spot near Town Line Drive has something to do with confessions tied to Joseph Lieberman and with the Mr. Abruzzi and the Joe DeMauro and the people with the Leahy family and putting fake things in databases, fake ties, fake natures of ties to me, wire crime acts and methods with this. O'Brien Cololo rolls with this. and sequence shifts with the same house since before they moved into it, and with people at locations where they moved from, next to where the state judicial branch offices, the state corrections offices are. So these are people bringing up their names to lie about what came first. And I told you guys, they started it with they lied 3 times to bring me into Hartford Hospital. One time I initiated it, but they lied about it. And they put me in fake conversations because they knew they couldn't tell the truth because I caught them. I did it right after I caught them. And they hid that from the neighbors before they moved into their house. What I caught them using the Dillon family for. And kids taking pictures of the house of the new neighbors and behavior relative and the difference of that. And no, and Anna Dillon sold their house. And I think she used the name Annie. They put switch on the sign, Anna and Annie. But there were a bunch of people with the name Dillon. There's a Pat Vincent who also has roles with teachers of his in the intelligence community and with the military, criminally foreign influence, tactical delusions, raw rules with identity theft, fraud, slanders, and wire crime acts and methods with mayors and stuff all along Route 175 and conjunctions to it has something to do with that. Pat Vincent and Walker Hill Road. It also has roles with people on off Trinity College and Central Connecticut State University involved with the FBI and judges and their family members planting evidences. These are also people that run prisons and that are trained to run prisons who have databases there. And they put fake things in there. And the people that are also plain clothes, there are proofs that Sandy Hook has plainclothes police officers who plant evidences and pretend it was just them, not doing legitimate work. So Sandy Hook has roles with judge courts and things like that and police forums tied to a Omni place in Weathersfield, and next to a bank that is also involved with people with I don't know, I know my names and something to do with Phil Collo. Also, and people at Sandy Hook and people from other countries in the territory of Puerto Rico involved with identity thefts and frauds with judges and prosecutors and people from Whiting Forensics through time. Also, a Bob Chase, who recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed, also has roles with the people tied to that spot. So there are confessions about people tied to Pito Cardona has roles with the intelligence community that is also criminally foreign influence, and they're pretending it's just legitimate. Per them, per people at Sandy Hook too, and their patients that pretended to be intelligence or what. And they also have roles with torture since before the World Trade Center attack. And I don't know the Keene family, and they're trying to they try to make it look like other in the past and lie about the motivations of it. The people tied to them are, I don't know. I asked them nicely to get a me response too, because these are people leading up to the World Trade Center attack years before who made confessions, and then they made non-verbal demonstrations and verbal in the World Trade Center. But they post dated documents from inside the Ninth Circuit Court to appear late to the panel of judges. That proven led to the 2006 part of a district court case in Connecticut, though. But that was in Manhattan, right next to the World Trade Center towers. And I found out it is true. I didn't even look through the list of the survivors, all this stuff like that. I have not had time. And of course, I would not want that on anyone. And I want, actually, that's why you don't put people to fake conversations about the World Trade Center attack. World WFSB did this. WFSB in Rocky Hill has a whole bunch of people with Elm Street in Rocky Hill who have roles like with the name Eric Oliveri and Ray Collo and people tied to a Casper family and people with the name Mark Violet who have roles with the intelligence community on Hartford Hospital and on off the buildings next to the state capitol, who have wire crime acts and methods, identity thefts and frauds. They put fake transcripts into police departments' databases as their roles with those families had very there's different police departments involved with this name law, and that they also have roles with other police forms through time. State police families, interstates with people tied to the law, and foreign and domestic military switching and forging names. People with the Eastern States Narcotics Drug Task Force involved with drugs and medicines crimes with child offenders, including sexual and medical, also involved with this. Switching in names, forging names, judges and prosecutors had something to do with their roles with Town Line Drive and with the names Della Fera and Spada are probate court judges involved with their probate courts solving issues at elderly homes with drugs and problems with that. And they're putting fake information. They're used criminally for info. The difference between that and the police forms with them. They're criminally foreign influence uses of location slash yes, including the veteran affairs buildings. Those were designed apart with what our founder showed us to demonstrate the cities were only allowed to become that because they could measure and maintain who's going to do damage control, who's going to try to call it what it is, not science, not freedom. So also, Judge Napolitano's source has a definition of slavery that can't defend itself and afford discern what nature demonstrates slavery is about. In other words, playing game tricks with facts that rules criminally foreign influence with their logic. Follow mandated law for the World Trade Center and get them onto paper and stop having people make convictions, leaving out exceptions, exception nature. Jewish, juxtapose energy's wall, inherent seas high. So you guys, go. Then never, it's not science, folks. Not honest motivations there. Your motivations with your narrative with your boss. Now get down because the Constitution on the bridge is boss. Give me a name and sequence. Who disbelieves? Tell me who disbelieves. Respond for the police that confessed, demonstrated, recorded. Police Chief Cintron and people associated with the former director of the FBI and other FBI other ways they know they're involved on Twitter with people with the name Ian and with the parks involved and with their uses of the locations next to the parks involved, planting fake motivations and fake sequences has something to do with their roles at the spots next to the campuses like Central Connecticut State University and Trinity College. Weathersfield Pizza is increasingly involved with people with sequence shifts and planting identity thefts and frauds on and off campuses and with school boards involved with it. Fear God because they have medical corruption, all kinds of people with the news involved too at the same time. They have roles with crime scenes, including with a kid who reportedly shot another kid from Weathersfield and his neighbors involved with what the interbranch can't solve. They can't cover such cases. There's still collusions with it. That's not far from the state judicial branch offices. No. Yeah, I self promote boxing. I need no title. Hyper clear. It leads. I'm the best English teacher this country has ever had. America. Follow mandate law for your branch of government. Allow them. Now they're cracks. They hide the seed. Please follow mandated law. I want a response for the principal child abusers campus for confessions and the police with their kids putting fake transcripts. There is also people with the name O'Neill involved with Saudis. They forced the collusions with them with little predicate acts with the principal child abuser and whiting forensics with a whole bunch of people involved through time, including the witness protection program is involved. This is positive. This is entertainment, and this is not criminal insidious. It's positive. Let me show you how to fix this. Let me show you how to make things real and heal. Boxing. I teach just things, but long. So all these countries in the news, they have roles with use of location slash S together, planting motives. That's all they know how to do. Fear, fear. Do not pretend you guys don't understand how easy. And the election locations were used criminally for an influence. People's defenses of their titles, etc. Readings of statutes are criminally foreign influence, leaving out exception nature. We will observe. We have to have mandated law followed. You know how the little boys and girls, and the little rap guy and friends cartoon that are inside the building right now. They're gonna come. They're gonna come out. They're gonna be all the ways. You guys have been blaming other things, others are self, for what our founders told us to blame on the predicate acts with facts method. And you're in the face, you're in the way of what I need to tell them, what the founders need to tell them. They need to walk downstairs every day. And all the people didn't have that told to them too. They had to walk down that rat trap. You fear God. People, if you think you're going to speak for the law, people follow me to the law for the World Trade Center and get me off the fake conversation with WFSB and and the fake emails with WTNH and give me someone to respond to. I asked you before the World Trade Center attack, Connecticut. I asked them for help because people asked me for help, and I noticed that location was involved with sick people through time anyway. So the Domain family made confessions about roles with sexual and religious abuses of my neighbor, involved with him with racketeering, with evidences, and with child abusers of Mike Domain, with a Riley family. That's was his teacher. I never had a personal conversation with Miss Riley. I saw people having conversations with it behind my back with their teachers that are criminally foreign influence and their uses of it. There are people that were in two speech class teachers I had. I never had personal conversations with them. They have roles with medical corruption and delusions that are relative and child offenders and males and females of the intelligence community sickly distinctly. So it has something to do with people tied to Central Connecticut State University increasingly. They affected confessions to me when I was in second grade. The intelligence community with Central Connecticut State University has something to do with their roles along roads and routes and how they use corners. And I figured out what that was, how it is manifest. It's manifest where and how they are being and have been used remotely. All sides in criminal and civil cases. They're victims, they're advocates. Courts appointed victims, they're advocates in their campuses. And everyone next to everyone. He said, she said. This keeps each age of fact shaping nature. Speaking other than correlation has means, but not the way they're playing games with that after they have predicate acts with facts roles, before they take the roles. And they're shown that. So there are people with the Department of Transportation, the Department of Motor Vehicles, involved with the intelligence community, with names Lombardo, with names um, the Perone, involved also with the spots next to the state capitol, with identity theft, fraud, slanders, also with religious spots and child offenders through time. And then those people are used for identity thefts and frauds against others, fake motivations planting, why they're coward punks as kids and sickly distinctly as adults and pretending other both ways. Get on paper with that, please. They have the corners of streets involved, like the corner of Saustine Highway and Two Route Highway has something to do with child offenders at a religious spot in Hartford next to Fox Connecticut News. There are people with the name Kerr and Perone that were child abused there, and they're involved with federal evidences, crimes, and identity thefts and frauds against others with judges and prosecutors and Weathersfield Police with other police forms like state police, overt criminal enterprise, private ones, putting fake things in databases of schools' roles. And with overt criminal, the difference of that is also used. Their roles with the Parks and Recreation on and off the things. They're planting with Officer Jerry Miller and others on Facebook evidences on all sides of my house and fake motivations. So get them onto paper. They have the neighbors of the extended family members of my new neighbors involved. In the corners of the street, the neighbors of them involved. Follow mandated law and fear God for it. Don't pretend you're military, etc. like that. Please, Robert Hill. I don't know Dave Hill. I don't know Hill. But there were people for that use that name. I remember the name Dave Hill was mentioned to me when I was in high school. They're making people remember other people's names for a method. So if someone tries to go back and speak properly for the sciences and what we can discern, and where it's relative now too, they change what the people say. It's relative to how they have overtly sexually sick people and people pretending to perceive prejudice, if you mention that, who are leaving out exceptions, exception nature, who are leaving out, they want to frame the subjects the way they want the subject frames, leaving out the other things. Vaccines, in other words, how they use their kids to hide their motivation, how that's motivated is recorded. You cannot leave out the breaching method. People, you make mistakes. So all kinds of interbranch, they use their religious differences and their natural differences. They're shown why because they were showing information from others. They're playing a game where everyone speaks through other. Exactly why we're not supposed to use manatee the way they use it too, though. I mean, hearsay. It's for more than that. We're supposed to let the hyper invisible but still discernible lead. Nature shows us to interpret the Constitution unabridged other than we have been afforded means to. So it's not defend Israel at any cost. Hide fake plant motivations over here. Fake pretended prejudice. That's what they do overtly with the people involved next to Fox Connecticut News, as the people named Demain and Mendez with as police forms involved with identity theft, frauds, fake ties, fake natures, ties to others. Fear God with child abusers more then and now. I got more of them then and now. And they hid what I caught recorded by fabricating and making other things. Principal Police Chief Cintron has his daughter involved. You can't, you coward punk. You can't get on paper. And oh, he's in a basement. You want to go in the ring? I want to use my gun more. Are you involved with? Was that a real gun? Did you kill someone on Elm Street? Because you were involved there before you have the Mazzucato Bakery involved with you with predicate acts there. You had them involved with you with predicate acts before they moved there with the Hartford spot. You have people with the name Iano involved with you with the modern pastry, involved with sequence shifts with you, fake motivations planting. Fear God. Make sure you got on paper. Police, Weatherfield Police, please get them on paper with the ones with the name McGee too. And I want a response for the Rocky Hill campuses. I noticed more things that you're hiding that. I give you time. I said it without noting it, but make sure I get a response for the rest of the things I caught with the campuses, Weathersfield parents or families, and Rocky Hill parents or families. They attach everyone around everyone to fake words. They're gonna hurt your kids distinctly if they have no brothers or sisters, and distinctly if they have brothers or sisters. And where how they hurt everyone to keep everyone fake and pretending other, which is relative. Well, I'm not hurt. In other words, where they help people too is where they're doing it. Well, how they keep people motivated to jump into people's conversations only to hide fake things in databases roles, criminally foreign influence, furthering hearsay, racketeering at the interbranch or at locations to force out what's actually recorded. So a whole bunch of people with the intelligence community next to the colleges and universities have roles leading up to the World Trade Center attack in that context and sense with what's been going on with the people, also with the shipping locations with the name Oliveri and Joshua Stryker, with deans and principals of and leaders of kids involved with child abuses, and the difference of the others influencing them to child abuses roles or themselves or the kids involved. That difference is used too. That trinity. How this can be discerned, you have to follow mandated law. So further, there's an Emmett, and there are other people with drugs and medicines crimes with the kids that are not legitimate, like with the people with the name Domain and Leahy and Lombardo. Further with and Walters and people with the houses next to the campuses who have been putting fake things in databases, including with at medical locations. Hartford Hospital and the spots next to Hartford Hospital has roles also. There's a Charlie Bowes and a girl that's a woman who says she's his sister who's involved with sequence shifts and federal evidences crimes with child abusers that are involved with uses of Old Town Cafe and roles with uh, um, cocaine and different kinds of drugs and psychiatry drugs and things like that. So doctors and people with the Air Force, people on all sides of the schools planting evidences, fake ties, fake natures of ties to others. And sometimes they make exceptions, and sometimes not at all. Like a Joshua Julian, fake ties to me rolls with home break-ins, even on Facebook recorded, and with the Facebook pages of the principal child abuser with KKK themed black female judges themed predicate acts methods with this Joshua Julian child abusers and people with remote uses of Judge Napolitano's Facebook pages since before he left Fox News, and since distinctly, non-distinctly, and simultaneously, we records even more. It's also with people on next to the buildings next to Fox News. Has something to do with this. Their roles with journalists, their family members, used to keep this criminally foreign influence all along roads and routes like Franklin Avenue has roles with criminal enterprises, with police forms, foreign and domestic military, on off Central Connecticut State University in New Britain. They've been planting evidence as fake motivations with judges, prosecutors, their family members, and people next to campuses too. And the difference of that is used. Fear God. Fear God, they're speaking about things with names and leaving out how the breaching method applied to names, the difference, black pupils. Leave not this out. Let's see who do you think speaks about the science of New York City? Honestly, tell me it's good. Tell me who tells good. Honestly, tell me that person. Give me their name. Let's go. Give me the name for the interbranch. Put me in a fake conversation with them about the World Trade Center attack. Before the World Trade Center attack, the people from Connecticut were involved with this. The pretending drugs and medicines things were what I talked to them about. People go to the mental health people experts, ask them to help when there's a little fake rap mob is planting evidences. They pretend they were talking about drugs. All exception nature, they were planting the drugs. You fear God with the uses of the dean judge son involved with this, and uses of the kids, of little kids of principals too and teachers of kids. Fear God. Make sure I get a response. There are more drugs and weapons and poisons roles and methods recorded involved with the schools and with the sick motivations of the people living next to them involved. How involved? Fear God. I think Io family, a Yagman family, for example, is one of the families who's been with doctors that have been planting evidences and have drugs and medicines crimes on side of the high school, involved also with people further on the other campuses in Weathersfield planting evidences. So make sure they get the heck on paper now. Let's go. Fake branches bow and fall, and the heresy build wall. Who disbelieves? Get them off the speaking about serious subjects if they can't attend. Allow the series to have free speech, qualities, facts, nature, and needs. And they can't appreciate, they can't afford to have discern, to protract the short words nature that explains how hyperintelligence uses lists, because they use lists, tactile terrier from how nature does, programmers. And nature does additionally, hyper additionally from any way they couldn't even copy it. And then as what they could copy it is additional.